Now at 9, Pitt State Theater students present Animal Farm to the community. Plus, folks in Fort Scott put the pedal to the metal in a bike race at Gunn Park. And for fans of more high-powered racing, we'll check out the WDRA Sportsman Drag Racing Series at the Mocan Dragway.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Cale Chapman. The theater students of Pitt State University presented Animal Farm by George Orwell to a packed audience. The play, which follows the story of a group of farm animals who overthrow their human owner and attempt to create a society of equality, was brought to life by the talented cast and crew. The cast hopes this performance can provide people with the same lessons that the book it's based on provides.
I hope people take away just a sense of themselves, of being able to reflect on what's happening around them, even when they aren't aware of it.
The Pitt State Theater Department is known for producing exceptional performances, and Animal Farm was no different. The Kansas chapter of the National Interscholastic Cycling Association returned to Gunn Park in Fort Scott today for some bike racing action. The Pedal Power Racing event gives young mountain bike riders in grades 6 to 12 the opportunity to race through several waves of friendly yet rigorous competition. Kansas NICA provides team racing, training, and adventure. Officials with the Kansas League of NICA said that this is the third race of the season.
NICA is the National Interscholastic Cycling Association, so the Kansas League was formed about 3 years ago. They're in their third season. So this is their third race of their third season. Gunn Park's an awesome park. Fort Scott's really blessed to have this park, and we're taking advantage of it. We've built about 8.5 miles of trail here that's utilized by people from all over. They stop here and they ride. They love our trails.
Local volunteers from the Fort Scott community staffed the race. The WDRA Sportsman Drag Racing Series returned to the Mocan Dragway for some high-octane action today. Officials say the WDRA Championship Series features some of the best racers in the area with 5 different categories of competition. Winners of this event progress to the World Championship. Admission cost $15 and the first round of racing began at 11 a.m.
Today's our Mocan Dragway Bracket Series, event number 3 of the season. This is a chance for our racers to compete for a track championship and potentially a chance to go to the WDRA World Finals.
14 years old, just racing, having fun. So yeah, it's a junior dragster, runs 790 in the 8th at about 80 miles an hour. And I've had it for about 2 years, been racing for about 3 years now.
The Mocan Dragway hosts racing events all season long. The Miners Hall Museum in Franklin, Kansas hosted a free presentation that delved into how the railroad shaped southeast Kansas throughout the years. The emergence of the railroad in rural Kansas 1870 to present day was presented by Richard Ronacher. This program was presented in conjunction with the quarterly exhibit Little Balkan's Coal Camp McCune, which is hosted by Morgan Blanchard Zimmer and Richard Ronacher.
So today is our first exhibit out of 3. The Miners Hall asked the museum to do a small exhibit on McCune, and today was about railroads that connected the small towns, including McCune and Cherokee.
The quarterly exhibit is open to the public during regular museum hours. Meteorologist Sam Lane joins us now for a first look at the weather.
All right, first we're going to talk about space weather a little bit. We're under a geomagnetic storm warning level 3, and what that means is that the aurora borealis may be able to be seen as far south as Kansas and Missouri tonight. So if you get out into the rural areas, you might look towards the north and see that, as mostly fair skies are in place across the plain states. We're watching a big storm system on the west coast that's going to have an impact on our weather as we head towards the middle part of the week. But looking over the last 36 hours, it's been cool. 50s yesterday and all the way down to 30 degrees this morning. We did set a record for the low this morning of 30 degrees, and this afternoon we made it up to 60, or we just barely touched 60. Looking overnight, we're going to see temperatures dropping through the 40s all the way down into the mid-30s under mostly fair skies. And looking down the lane, we have a frost advisory in effect for tonight. Monday, some showers in the evening, and then Tuesday, some rain, and a cool week overall. And I'll have all the details in just a bit.
All right, well, thank you, Sam. President Biden could make his 2024 re-election campaign official as soon as this week. Meanwhile, on the GOP side, a busy weekend for presidential hopefuls in Iowa. Fox News correspondent Alexandria Hoff has that story.
Well, this event was the first major push for support from the evangelical community, so the theme centered around faith, education, and defining their pro-life stance.
If you believe like I do that America should celebrate our founding fathers and not cancel them, let me hear you say amen.
You stop bending the knee to God, you're going to bend the knee to something. That is what's going on in our country right now.
By golly, we're going to have that 2-cent plan, and we are going to save America.
Former Vice President Mike Pence was also among speakers at the Iowa Faith and Freedom Coalition spring kickoff. He, along with Senator Tim Scott, are expected to announce their bids for the White House in the coming weeks. In speaking with reporters, Pence attempted to separate himself from his former running mate on the issue of abortion. Former President Trump addressed the crowd virtually just days after his campaign received pro-life backlash for not endorsing a national week limit for abortions.
I will stand proudly in defense of innocent life, just as I did for 4 very powerful, strong years, because every child, born and unborn, is a sacred gift from God.
A new NBC News poll shows that even with an indictment, 2/3 of Republican primary voters say they support former President Trump, while 31% reported Florida Governor Ron DeSantis as their first choice in 24. So where do other candidates find the motivation? Former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson answered that question today on Fox News Sunday.
What America does not want is another repeat of 2020, where we have Joe Biden and Donald Trump running against each other.
The Iowa caucus is still 9 months away. Nikki Haley has reportedly visited the state 17 times since announcing her run for president. Governor DeSantis, who has not declared his candidacy, attended the Utah GOP conference yesterday. In Washington, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
Coming up, we'll hear from some health experts about how to take care of your mental health without going to therapy. A new study finds treating the mind can help heart disease prevention in the body. Researchers from the European Cardiology Society found effective treatments for depression can lower heart disease risks. The study examined data results of about 637,000 adults suffering from depression. Those who went through treatments such as therapy had 10 to 15% lower cardiovascular risks. That's compared to those who went through treatments, but it didn't improve depression symptoms. The best effects were seen in those under 60. As more people are opening up about their struggles with mental health, many are not seeking professional help, but are trying to help themselves in other ways. Fox's Teresa Priolo takes us to see what health professionals think about these practices and what they recommend.
I can tell you that the problem is escalating, and we've never seen so many people seeking treatment.
It's one of the biggest issues post-pandemic, the rate of Americans struggling to cope with an underlying mental health issue, then masking the issue with drugs, alcohol, pills, overeating, and other kinds of obsessive behaviors. Dawn Johnson is with the Indiana Center for Recovery in South Bend, Indiana.
So I work in an inpatient unit. We detox patients off of all substances of abuse, alcohol, benzos, opioids. And the numbers don't surprise me at all.
Excessive and obsessive behaviors are nothing new, but it seems the pandemic exacerbated them.
When people started to isolate, then that started to escalate, perhaps the awareness of we're really not okay.
Here in New York, Dr. Harris Straightner, a licensed psychologist and clinical associate professor of psychology at Mount Sinai, sees marijuana as a big problem.
Self-medicating behavior is very, very common. And now we're seeing a lot of it, particularly in Manhattan, using marijuana.
For some, masking the issue, it's a deliberate choice. For others, they began by smoking or drinking, and the issue has compounded, covering an issue they didn't know they had until they attempted to detox.
Alcohol is a central nervous system depressant. So it's kind of ironic. You might feel depressed or dysthymic, low level of depression, and as a result, you're drinking and you're adding to your depression.
CM is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later, Bed Bath & Beyond is filing for bankruptcy. We'll look at what's next for the home goods store.
Well, we started out pretty cold this morning. In fact, many places set new record lows, including Joplin. Right now in Seneca, Missouri, you can see the morning shot as we go through the day, notice as the sun came out, bright blue skies, and then we had some cumulus clouds and some altocumulus clouds earlier this afternoon. But those have now moved away. Instead, we're left with mostly fair skies. Look at the lows this morning. In the 20s, mid-20s up to the north and west in Fredonia with 26, 28 in Fort Scott, 29 in Nevada. Everyone pretty much got to freezing or just below that. A few areas escaped freezing down in northwest Arkansas with 37 in Bentonville and 34 in Cassville. But it was pretty cold across the entire area. In fact, here's the record. 30 degrees this morning in Joplin, beat the old record by 5 degrees set back in 1956. We did make it up to 60 today with the dry air in place. That allowed the temperature to really vary quite a bit. Look at the rainfall. We're way behind for the month and also about 3 inches behind for the year. Hopefully that's going to change over the next 24 to 36 hours in our forecast. Allergies, though, it was bad again today. 9.0 on a scale of 12. Tomorrow a little bit worse at 10. But I think we're finally going to start to see some relief as we move into Tuesday. Radar right now is all clear. There are a few sprinkles up towards the north and west in north central Kansas, but that is about it. We have a frost advisory in effect for the entire area again tonight, as we're expecting temperatures to drop down into the mid-30s. So some of those tender plants, you might want to bring those in. Temperatures right now are already dropping down into the 40s in many locations. Check out Stockton. They're already down to 46, 44 in Iola for the cold spot, 52 in Chanute, 51 in Oswego. We're still dealing with the drought in southeastern Kansas, and over the next few days, this is going to be improving as well, as the forecast calls for quite a bit of rainfall across southeastern Kansas. I know the farmers are going to be happy about that. Rain chances are going to be low all the way up until tomorrow evening and into early Tuesday morning. That's when the rain chances are going to dramatically increase across our area. In fact, looking at the rainfall forecast, look at the amounts. Generally around an inch or so across most of the area, lighter amounts to the north and east, but check out to the west. Some places could get close to 3 inches of rain before all is said and done, and I know they're going to be happy about that. Temperatures tonight are going to be dropping down into the mid-30s, 34 in Pittsburgh, 37 in Garnett with southeasterly winds. Then tomorrow, the clouds will start to increase from west to east tomorrow with highs making it into the mid-60s. Here comes the rain as we go into tomorrow night into Tuesday morning, with scattered showers on Tuesday morning with lows in the 40s. And then during the day on Tuesday, we'll see pockets of rain moving across the area, and the temperatures are not going to really rise that much, generally in the lower 50s, so it's going to be a chilly raw rain at that. Then as we go into Wednesday, we may get a little bit of a break Wednesday morning before the next round comes in on Wednesday night with lows in the 40s. Temperatures are going to be cold for quite a while in most of the country, at least the eastern half, through our forecast period, and here's the next 7 days. 30% chance of showers beginning tomorrow night. Mostly on Tuesday is when the best chance of rain is with a high 53. More rain on Wednesday. A little bit of a break on Thursday and Friday with more showers and storms possible. But temperatures are going to be quite chilly for April with highs in the 60s and lows in the 40s. So a little bit of a cold week this week.
Well, for sure, and a cold start breaking that record today.
Absolutely.
All righty. Well, thank you, Sam.
You're welcome.
Coming up, while some companies are downsizing their businesses, IKEA is planning a major expansion in the U.S. IKEA is planning to spend more than $2 billion to open 8 new locations in the U.S. The move would expand the retailer's furniture empire in the United States in its biggest ever investment in a single country. The locations of the new U.S. stores have not yet been decided, but Inca Group, IKEA's retail Dutch holding company, says it plans to grow its presence on the east and west coasts and invest more in the south. It also wants to open 9 smaller plan and order points in the U.S. over the next 3 years. The company says the news outlet would create 2,000 jobs. Bed Bath & Bankrupt. After once being a Fortune 500 company, the popular home goods retailer is now going out of business, filing for Chapter 11 as it begins to wind down operations at its remaining stores. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Suri has that story.
Bed Bath & Beyond has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection after years of sagging sales. The big box retailer based in Union, New Jersey is making the move to implement what it calls an orderly wind down while soliciting interest in sales of some or perhaps all of its assets. In the meantime, the company says it will continue to pay employee wages and benefits, and its 360 Bed Bath & Beyond stores as well as its 120 Bye Bye Baby stores and their website sites will remain open to serve customers. This morning, Bed Bath & Beyond CEO issued this statement: "We deeply appreciate our associates, customers, partners, and the communities we serve, and we remain steadfastly determined to serve them throughout this process." Bed Bath & Beyond faced increased competition from other major retailers. Analysts say it struggled to pivot from store to online sales during the pandemic and was especially hard hit by last year's slowdown in the global supply chain. The company says it has secured commitments of approximately $240 million in financing to allow it to continue commercial operations during the bankruptcy process. The company had warned of the potential for having to file bankruptcy since the beginning of this year. At the Nasdaq's close on Friday, Bed Bath & Beyond stock was trading at 29 cents a share. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
Lyft is planning to, quote, significantly reduce its workforce. That's what Lyft CEO David Risher told employees in a company-wide memo. According to the Wall Street Journal, the company will cut 1,200 jobs. That would amount to about 30% of Lyft employees. Drivers are not included in that count. The newspaper reports the rideshare company's latest round of layoffs is in an effort to cut costs. Late last year, Lyft laid off about 700 people. We'll take a look at a new poll that explains what happy Americans have in common coming up next. A new poll says America's happiest people share commonalities. A Wall Street Journal National Opinion Research Center poll says happy Americans tend to share these common traits. They're in community and relationships, especially marriage, and many are in their retirement years. But only about 12% say they're, quote, very happy. The 12% is the smallest since the poll began in 1972. 56% did say they were pretty happy, but 30% said they're not too happy. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports are coming your way. Coming up, the wife of an Oklahoma man who died in police custody last year files a wrongful death lawsuit against the county. The attorney for a Tulsa woman says a multitude of failures in McCurtain County, Oklahoma resulted in the death of her husband. Bobby Barrick died in police custody last year. Reporter Aaron Christie was at a news conference where they announced a wrongful death lawsuit.
The attorney for Bobby Barrick's widow says after Bobby Barrick's death, there was a severe lack of investigating on behalf of the McCurtain County Sheriff's Office.
This is the body cam video originally obtained by the McCurtain Gazette showing the moments leading up to Bobby Barrick's death.
Hey, turn your feet around. Hey,
help me, man!
Turn your feet around.
They're gonna kill me. Attorneys say according to 911 calls, an altercation inside this convenience store ensued that led to Barrick being hogtied by a group of contractors. Tulsa-based attorney Mitchell Garrett claims when officers arrived, they used unreasonable force that resulted in his death and that basically washed their hands of the case once Barrick was airlifted to a Texas hospital.
No investigation done. There was OSBI was never called. And that's why we're standing here over a year later after his death.
Garrett says because OSBI wasn't called, which is required by law, there is no medical examiner's report. He says there was no investigation into who the contractors were who hogtied him.
Barbara has never received a phone call from the Sheriff's Department or any of its investigators.
Barbara thanks the McCurtain Gazette for suing the Sheriff's Office to obtain the video and other information and wants the public to remember Bobby as a good friend and stepdad.
It's been very overwhelming, but these are the answers I have been waiting on. It has been a very hard year.
Local journalism is important, and because of the tenacity of these local journalists here, we got the information last week, which allowed us to have some light on what happened.
Now, I also spoke with the deputy who was wearing the body camera in that video. He can't talk a lot because of this pending litigation, but told me over the phone, when Bobby Barrick was screaming, "They're gonna kill me," he says he was referring to the group of construction workers, not the deputies on scene. He also says he did not turn off his body camera, that it was turned off during a struggle with Bobby Barrick to get him under control.
This isn't the only scandal plaguing McCurtain County. The McCurtain Gazette News also had recently published an audio recording where the sheriff and other law officials are allegedly heard making racist comments and plotting to kill journalists. The governor has called for their resignations, but only McCurtain County Commissioner Mark Jennings has resigned. Meteorologist Sam Lane joins us now.
All right, thank you very much. It's a beautiful night to get out and enjoy the aurora borealis, as they're expecting it to be as far south as Kansas and Missouri tonight, as we're under a geomagnetic storm warning level 3. But we're watching a storm system on the west coast. That's really going to impact our weather as we head over the next couple of days. Over the last 36 hours, it's been on the cool side, especially this morning, with lows in the 20s and 30s setting a new record, and upper 50s and around 60 degrees this afternoon. Temperatures are going to fall through the 40s tonight, all the way down into the mid-30s once again, with mostly fair skies. And looking down the lane, we're going to have a frost tonight with some showers developing by tomorrow evening. Tuesday, a good dose of rain, and then a cool week overall. And I'll have all the details on that coming up in our forecast in just a little while.
Sheriff deputies are investigating 2 shootings in southeast Texas, including one that happened at an after-prom party. This happened earlier today in Jasper. Investigators say someone opened fire at the party and injured 9 teenagers. The sheriff's office says the teens are expected to recover. A second shooting happened in the city after the party. It's unclear if the shootings are related. The superintendent of the Jasper Independent School District said that the school district is working with law enforcement to bring the person or persons responsible to justice. Police in Washington, D.C. are investigating 2 shootings that injured 8 people at 2 different locations Friday night. 7 men were injured in the first scene at an apparent drive-by shooting. A 12-year-old girl was also shot at a second location nearby. Police believe the 2 shootings are connected. Witnesses say someone in that car was firing indiscriminately at people. All the victims are expected to be okay. Community leaders in South Bend, Indiana are calling for action after an 11-year-old was shot to death. Paige Barnes has the story.
There's no honor in an 11-year-old getting killed. Okay, whatever transpired, whatever the situation was, we have to do something. We have to be able to activate and engage our own community.
A rallying cry Friday morning with many familiar faces, from Mikhail Winston to Lynn Coleman to Gladys Muhammad, both city and school leaders, with a plea for change coming from deep within.
These are our kids, and they're dying, and they're shooting each other, and we got to figure out a way how to stop it. We, a community, we got to come together and stop it.
South Bend police are on the case, with Chief Scott Ruskowski saying his department has interviewed roughly 20 people. He's confident officers are close to catching the suspect.
We found a lot of the things that we were looking for, but shouldn't have happened. Every single one of these shootings, homicides, everyone could have been avoided, everyone.
Former officer Lynn Coleman agrees with the chief's comments. He's asking everyone to take responsibility and what they can do to stop, quote, senseless gun violence.
Who did you say something to? We've got some responsibility to make sure that we do our part. And it doesn't matter who's doing it. Wrong is wrong, regardless of where it comes from.
The trauma and thoughts and prayers will continue, he says, unless people come forward to care for the future of South Bend children and the ripple effect it has.
We have to explain to 6th graders that their friend's not coming home.
Still ahead, what experts are saying about AI and how the technology may turn your job into a 4-day work week.
Well, friends, we started out quite chilly this morning. In fact, some record lows were set across the area. But this afternoon, because of all the dry air, we warmed up into the upper 50s and 60 degrees. Right now, it's starting to be chilly once again with all the clear skies and dry air still in place. Looking outside right now at Indigo Skies Casino and Resort in Seneca, Missouri. Beautiful night shaping up across the area. Lows this morning, as I mentioned, were quite cold. In fact, record-setting in many locations. Lows in the 20s, common up towards the north. 27 in Yates Center, 26 in Fredonia, 32 in Veneta, 30 in Nowata as well as in the Joplin area. In fact, we did set a record. We beat it by 5 degrees, set all the way back in 1956. High was 60 degrees, and of course both of those were way below the normals of 71 and 49, and we're getting way behind on the rainfall again. 3 1/3 inches for the month of April and almost 3 inches for the year, but I think we're going to catch up a little bit on that in our forecast. Today, the allergies were 9. Tomorrow it'll be about a 10. And then we're going to see some improvement as we move into Tuesday with all the rainfall. Right now, no rain on the radar. We have a few sprinkles up towards the north and north central Kansas, but that is about it. What we do have is we have a frost advisory in effect for the entire area for tonight, as we're expecting lows to drop down into the mid-30s, causing a little bit of frost issues. Temperatures right now are quite cold, especially in Iola, 44, 48 in Nevada, same thing in Stockton, 49 in Carthage, 51 in Welch, pick out your hometown. We are still in the drought situation in southeastern Kansas, and that is going to be improving over the next few days too, and I know a lot of farmers and ranchers are going to be happy about that. And also the drier conditions are spreading into western Missouri as well. Rain chances are going to be low all the way up until tomorrow night and into Tuesday morning. That's when the rain chances are going to dramatically increase, and we could see quite a bit of rainfall. In fact, here's the forecast. If this forecast verifies, some places could get around 3 inches of rain, and that would be very welcome news, again, for those folks in southeastern Kansas where the drought is still hanging on. Temperatures tonight are going to be in the mid-30s with southeasterly winds. Then tomorrow, mostly sunny, with a few clouds starting to spill in by evening with highs in the mid-60s across the area. Then as we go into Monday night and Tuesday morning, that's when the rain will start to move in from west to east with lows in the 40s. And then in the afternoon, temperatures not really rebounding that much, generally staying in the lower 50s. So it's going to be a chilly, raw rain at that. Then as we go into Wednesday morning, a little bit of a break with easterly winds and lows in the 40s. And then more rain comes in on Wednesday afternoon. Most of the country from the Central Plains eastward is going to be dealing with the cold weather for quite some time, including in our area. And here's a look at the 7-day forecast. 66 tomorrow, rain on Tuesday, continues into Wednesday evening into Thursday morning, more showers on Friday night into Saturday, with temperatures in the 50s and 60s for highs and lows in the 40s. That's about 10 to 15 degrees colder than normal. And then we finally dry out a little bit early part of next week.
Yeah, I mean, that's chilly, especially where we've been at recently.
We'll take the cold air as long as we get the rainfall. I think that's what we're most concerned about.
Fair trade, fair trade.
Right.
All righty, well, thank you, Sam. Coming up in sports, we've got Brock Baldridge here to give you all your highlights.
Well, it was the series finale for both Missouri Southern and Pittsburgh State today. There's only 4 games left in the regular season for both the Lions and the Gorillas. Each team's trying to make it count with only 1 more weekend left to play. We'll start things in Pittsburgh. Gorillas looking to win the series against the Newman Jets. Pretty important game for the Gorillas if they want a chance at the MIAA regular season. So top of the second, 1-0 Jets. Hayden Vanderpool lines this to right center field into the gap. It's an RBI single. Newman now leads 2-0. Later in the inning, 5-0 Newman. Jenner Steele gets all of that one, and that ball is way out of here. Newman is up 7-0. So we now fast forward to the top of the 6th inning now. Gorillas trying to get back in it, and to roll me up 6-4-3 double play to get out of the inning. Nothing much going for Pitt State's offense today. Only 3 hits for the Gorillas. Newman shuts out Pitt State 11-0 in 7 innings. Over the Joplin now, Missouri Southern's looking for the sweep against Northeastern State. This game had a lot of drama in the top of the 5th inning regarding a call made by the first base umpire. But after further discussions, we play on. So to the bottom of the 5th, Lions down 6-4. Will Daugherty flies this to right field. Ethan Clark tags up and he scores. 6-5 Lions down. Later in the inning, tied up 6-6. Nate Mezkowski crushes this deep to left field. That ball stays in the park. And 2 runs come in. Mezkowski has himself a 2-run double, gives the Lions an 8-6 lead. So top of the 8th, Northeastern answers back with a couple of home runs to get the Riverhawks a 9-8 lead. So to the bottom of the 9th, last chance of the Lions. Henry Kuziak lines this to the 3rd baseman, and that's ball game. Northeastern State defeats Missouri Southern 9-8. However, the Lions win the series.
Today was disappointing, but we're in a good spot as far as postseason goes, so we got to kind of keep the big picture in mind and obviously learn from today and keep getting better. You know, we've been a pretty complete team probably. You know, at times we've been really good on the mound as well, and so, but I'd say by and large offensively we've you know, done a lot, and I feel like you know, when we're swinging it good, we're a hard team to handle.
Well, the Cardinals and the Royals have both experienced low points this season. Sunday, both teams are wrapping up their first legs of their West Coast road trips. In the Pacific Northwest, Cardinals at Mariners. Let's not waste any time here. First pitch of the game, Lars Nootbaar swinging the drive. Goodbye home run. It's 1-0 Redbirds. Just the start you want. Bottom of the second, 2-0 Cardinals. Jarrett Kelenic deep to left field. O'Neill, he's out of room, and it's out of here. Mariners down 2-1. Raise that Triton. Top of the third now. Redbirds down 3-2. Tyler O'Neill grounds this into center field. Goldschmidt will score. RBI single. Game's tied 3-3. Top of the fourth, same score. Nolan Gorman, boomstick baby. 3-run jack. St. Louis up 6-3. Cardinals avoid the sweep. They beat Seattle 7-3. Royals and Angels in Anaheim. Kansas City is looking to win their first series of the season. Top of the first, no score. MJ Melendez, take a good look. You won't see it for long. 1-0 Royals early. Solo shot gives the Royals a 1-0 lead. So top of the sixth, tied up 1-1. Vinny Pasquantino, big fly for number 9. Pasquantino's 4th home run of the season. Royals go up 2-1. Bottom of the sixth is tied up 2-2. Mike Trout says he's calling all Angels. Solo shot gives the Halos a 3-2 lead. Next batter, Shohei Ohtani. That's exactly what you expect when he's at the plate. Goodbye home run. Angels up 4-2. The Halos hold on for the win and beat the Royals by a final score of 4-3. That's it for sports. We'll be back after this.
A technology with feared social implications could also lead to a work revolution. This, according to an economist. Nobel Prize-winning economist Sir Christopher Pissarides says artificial intelligence could lead to a 4-day work week for American workers. The economist's comments come amid controversy about chatbots' soon potential to replace 4.8 million jobs. Pissarides says human productivity would increase when freed from some tasks, and incomes would be the same while working fewer days. Twitter has removed a portion of its hateful conduct policy that included protections for transgender people. Originally, the policy prohibited targeting others with repeated slurs that intended to degrade or reinforce harmful stereotypes about a protected category. It went on to say, quote, that includes targeted misgendering or dead naming of transgender individuals. But according to archived versions of that page, the second part about transgender individuals was removed earlier this month. Facebook's parent company Meta began another round of layoffs on Wednesday. The latest cuts involved technical workers. In March, CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced the company would cut an additional 10,000 employees in the coming months. This is the second round of significant job cuts at Meta. In November, the company said it was eliminating 11,000 jobs. Meta has said the layoffs are part of its year of efficiency after repeated declines in revenue. Up next, one Missouri town is honoring the anniversary of UFO sightings. We'll hear from some of the residents. It's been 50 years since all the excitement in Piedmont, Missouri. Now it's time to mark the special anniversary. Close Encounters of the Piedmont kind celebrates multiple sightings of UFOs by people in that small town back in 1973. Nikki Clark spoke to some residents who remember that year very well.
In the small town of Piedmont, nothing will ever compare to the thrill 50 years ago.
You can imagine a group of basketball boys coming back from a ball game and seeing this. I mean, you know, just as soon as they got to school, it was all over school.
Gene Coleman says it came up in almost any conversation you had.
Even the government was down here, you know, asking questions as to what, you know, was taking place.
Coleman didn't just hear about it. She tells me she saw a UFO while out on a drive with her friend.
And just looking up at the sky and everything. And then all of a sudden, I saw down toward the water a red light flash. Then when it got up so high, all of the lights came on and all of them remained on. And then it went over the hill.
Joe King also remembers the lights.
I never knew what they were, and I never said what they were. I just described what I saw.
And now, half a century later,
our whole town's covered in UFOs right now.
Chamber of Commerce Director Sarah Phillips says the town is celebrating their history with UFO Fest.
And expert speakers, so they will be here all day tomorrow speaking. And then we have over 50 craft vendors that are coming in, food trucks. We have some historic memorabilia, old newspaper articles, pictures, things like that from back in '73.
King and Coleman tell me they're happy the community is embracing it now, because back in 1973,
I have two different ideas about people that talk about UFOs and sees UFOs. You're either a kook or you're not.
I have always regretted saying anything about it.
And I wish I had have talked more about it back then.
and now in 2023.
This is Piedmont. This happened in Piedmont, and we are witnesses of it. And I think, you know, it's something that we all can share.
And it's exciting to see the people in town, you know, a lot of younger people kind of getting caught up in it.
Quite the mystery there.
Yeah, we might see some lights in the sky tonight.
Oh,
Not
really?
UFOs, but northern lights, as we are under a G2 or G3 on the geomagnetic storms, which could cause the aurora borealis to be seen as far south as Kansas tonight.
Now, that's
so
pretty cool.
If you're out late, you might want to take a look outside and take a look at that. All right, let's take a look at the forecast. We're expecting showers tomorrow night, beginning across the area, and then Tuesday, a better chance of rain. And it's going to be cool all week long with highs in the 50s and 60s and lows in the 40s. So a little bit of a chilly week this week.
A little bit chillier, bundle
we
up.
get some rain.
Yeah, we do get some rain, and that is very much needed. All righty, well, that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll leave you with a video of a chimpanzee playing with a bucket in Tennessee. We'll see you back here next time. Thanks for making us a part of your night.